What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. So today I'm gonna talk about Corcoran SHU. A few of you guys have asked me to speak on that prison since I had said maybe I'll talk about it. Corcoran SHU is one of California's most notorious prisons. It had an era that was extremely notorious in California's history. Those of you that know, then forgive me for a second as I let those that don't know. Corcoran had a history of basically running human cockfights. What they would do is you have the different rival factions within the California prison system. And they would pair up the best fighters from Southern California against the best fighters from Northern California, or the best Crip fighters or blood fighters. Same thing with the whites, the blacks. It was a thing where they were pitting human beings against each other. They were pitting men against each other, betting on who was going to win, and in a lot of cases, killing one of them. Killing one of them for engaging in what they set up. Now, they also had a prison guard gang that was called the Sharks. And the Sharks were known to beat the dog shit out of people. They would bust you up when you got there. They're very violent. They would wear ski masks. Most of the time when you came off the bus, they would have a ski mask on so you wouldn't see their face. Put tape over their nameplate. That place was a mess. Now, I had already been to Pelican Bay SHU. As I was heading back to Pelican Bay SHU, I got stuck on a layover in Corcoran SHU for 4 months. I remember when I got there, the Sharks had been broken up already, but they still had that arrogance and that aggressiveness when I got there. When we got off the bus, they try to grab you and look up in the sky, don't look down. And when they're taking you out of your waist chains and putting you into cuffs so they can escort you. It was a whole little theatrical thing. They're playing tough guy with guys that are fully shackled up, chained up, waist chains, cuffed. And then I was housed in 482 right. Now, again, this was 1998, and I'm on my way back to Pelican Bay. I had already been in Ad Seg almost a year, and they were no longer having the fights, the setup fights. By this time, the feds had already been made aware. And so when I went, it was basically segregated, right? So the Southern Mexicans, whites, and Bulldogs went to yard together, and the blacks, Northern Mexicans, and others went to yard together. In 482 right, the whole bottom tier was all Southerners and whites. The top tier was all Northerners and blacks and others. To me, okay, and let me also say that this was 1998. This is when they were starting to change Tehachapi into a SHU. Part of Tehachapi was becoming the SHU. So the way they were doing it was, if you had already been to Pelican Bay or you had a SHU term that was 24 months or longer, you could not be housed in Corcoran or Tehachapi SHU. This is why, for both of those reasons, I had to go back to the Bay. I had already been there, and I had a 24-month SHU, I believe. Maybe a little bit more at the time. So like I said, I was on a layover, but it was, my experience with Corcoran was extremely different from those that had to go through the war. By the time I got there, I will be honest with you, it was probably the most petty prison I had ever been to. And I'll give you an example. So when you're in Pelican Bay SHU and you have to go on escort, you got to go to medical, or you're going to law library, whatever it is. In Pelican Bay SHU, the officers never put their hands on you. You strip out, they let you out of your cell, you go to the pod door, they strip you out, you put your stuff back on, stick your arms out the port, they cuff you up, you step forward, the slider opens up, you step backwards, you turn around, you walk out. When I got to Corcoran, when I got to 482 right, I remember the first yard day, we cuffed up, we stepped out of the cell, my cellie went out first, then myself. I turned around to walk, and the officer, not aggressive, but he grabbed my arm, like to escort me, right? Foreign to me. So when he did that, I snatched my arm from him, and I told him, what the fuck you doing? He said, I'm escorting you. I said, yeah, I know how to get there. And he's like, but this is what we do here. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it. You know, I wasn't used to a CO holding a part of my body to escort me anywhere. So I was like, this fucking place is a joke. Went to yard, and my experience there was, you know, and people have been mad at me. Oh, you think Pelican Bay this, Pelican Bay that. Well, you know, I remember the group yards in Ad Sake. Corcoran SHU was no different as far as the feeling, to an extent, because I'm going to get into it right now. We went out to yard. We were out there and we got sun. We were out there, there was like 15 of us out there. People were playing handball. People were busting down together. You don't get any of that in Pelican Bay SHU, right? And for the last 15 minutes of yard, everybody would clear the handball court and they had a shower on the yard. You don't get that in Pelican Bay. So that was a difference. Now, people don't need to get offended by what I'm saying. Oh, but they always have this thing. It's always the guys that have never been to the SHU in the Bay that always feel like they're being put down. I'm not putting anybody down. I'm just saying my experiences and the differences between the two. Another big difference was this. Like I said, they had changed it to where based on how long your SHU term was and whether you had already been to the Bay was whether or not you were going to stay in Corcoran. My yard group, like I said, there was 15, 20 of us. I don't remember. I don't remember at this time, right? But I do remember only 6 of us were level 4 180s. Everybody else on that yard was a level 1 or level 2. I think there was 1 or 2 level 3 cats, right? And the 6 of us that had already been, you know, on level 4 180s, had already done SHU terms. We were on our way back to the Bay. We would sit back and we were laughing at these vatos that were level 1s and level 2s because they had like 4-month SHU terms, 6-month SHU terms. And I swear to God, they were the hardest dudes on the yard. They were the hardest vatos. They had the hardest stroll. You know what I'm saying? Like, they talked the most gangster, you know, and we were just laying back like, check these vatos out. And I remember one day, I wound up having to tell somebody something because I was tired of the front, right? And I remember asking him, hey, you walking around here like you're hard as fuck, eh? What did you do, homie? Did you hit somebody in the head with a sock full of dirt? because you're going to get out of it. You just got here. You're already getting out. Like, calm down already. And everybody was laughing and he didn't like it and I didn't give a fuck. Because that's what happens when you're in the oil. Somebody is going to say something. Somebody is going to want to know. And that day I decided I needed to know. And that vato shut up and he went back to the yard. Probably went and fought fires or some shit. But another thing that I remember, and this is why I say, so like I said, the Hura wanted to escort me by putting his hand on me. Very petty, right? On the yard, I remember if you tried to work out, like 4 dudes would try to work out together, they would recall the yard. They didn't allow that. Then I remember one day they used to do the rutina used to be on in the incel rutina, right? The incel workout program. So it was a day where the Northerns and blacks and others had yard. So everyone else is on the bottom tier stuck in the cell. So they did the gallo. Everybody listo. People had their count, go cell by cell for exercise, count off. And and I remember noticing that they were setting up a camera in the tower. And they were actually videotaping us, right? Like making sure they videoed every cell, right? And I was telling my Sally, they're gonna fucking use that. The squad's gonna fucking make some kind of fucking video out of that and say whatever they're gonna say, right? Oh, no. Oh, I was wrong. 2 days later, every one of us got a 115 for calling cadence. This is in the SHU. What the fuck is that write-up gonna do to anybody? I'll tell you what it's gonna do. That was their way to try to add something on when they want to validate you as being a part of something else. Look it, you were calling cadence with, 30 other people. But that was my experience with Corcoran, SHU. When I left there, I was very happy to leave. Oh, you know what? Another scandalous thing that happened while I was there. Because I had been endorsed to Pelican Bay, the 4 months that I was in Corcoran, my money never followed me from the other prison. They went to Pelican Bay and sat in that computer, even though I was in Corcoran for months. They were like, well, we never knew. When I got up there, I had a 602. They were like, oh, no, when I was in Corcoran, I 602. They go, yeah, but we don't know when you're leaving. So they're not going to send the money back. I was like, how are they not going to send the money back when I'm here? Telling you, my experience with Corcoran SHU, it was funny. I laughed a lot in that. I almost said I'd say. I laughed a lot in that SHU. Was business handled in there? Of course there was. Doesn't matter where you are. The SHU, when business needs to get handled, it gets handled. But that was my experience with Corcoran SHU. It was extremely different from those who went during the guerra, during the warfare, during the Gladiator days. I was glad, like I said, I was glad to leave when I left, and I was glad I never went back to that place. That's my video for the day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you're not already subscribed, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. If you are subscribed, make sure you hit all on notifications because something weird had happened. A lot of people were saying they're not getting their notifications. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, right? I'm out.